When World War I ended in 1918, the country of Yugoslavia was formed. Yugoslavia was a small group of countries, almost like America's 13 colonies. It consisted of the republics of Croatia, Slovenia, and Bosnia-Herzegovina, which had been part of the fallen Austro-Hungarian Empire. Serbia and Montenegro existed as an independent state, and Macedonia was then a part of Serbia. The largest ethnic groups in Yugoslavia were the Bosnian Muslims, the Serbians, and the Croatians. In March of 1992, Bosnia-Herzegovina declared its independence. Yugoslavia was the only Eastern European communist state that refused to sign the Warsaw Pact, passed in 1955, which stated that if any of the countries were attacked, all of the nations in the treaty would fight back. The people of Yugoslavia were living in desolation after World War II. Josip Broz, known as Tito, took political power in 1945. Tito had previously been a prisoner of war because of his participation in using propaganda, and was stationed in a prison work camp in Russia. In 1918, Tito joined the Communist Party and joined the Russians in battle. Tito fought for the USSR in World War II and the Cold War, and led resistances against the Axis powers. By living and fighting in Russia, Tito got many of his ideas of leadership and used them when he ruled Yugoslavia. These ideas that were carried on from Russia to Tito would bring a glorious reign to Yugoslavia. Just before he died in 1980, Tito came up with a plan to rotate the government officials annually in order to maintain communist power. After his death, this plan was adopted by all of the republics. Tito rotated the leaders in terms of religion. For example, for one term a Catholic would lead, and for another a Muslim would lead. Doing this helped to keep the peace between the religions because each got an equal share in the power. He changed the Yugoslav monarchy and set up a communist government with more freedoms, also known as Titoism. However, he acted as a dictator and effectively controlled the republics. He led with a strong will and told people to accept the differences of one another and to join as one group of equal beings. The people of Yugoslavia came to respect him, and over time, Slavic people did look past their differences and became a strong, united country. This is also known as ethnic mixing. He led the Communist Party, the government, and the armed forces. When Tito died, the Yugoslav Republic split apart and Bosnia broke out in war with the Roman Catholics in the northwest, Orthodox in the middle, and the Muslims in the south. Josip Tito's successor came to be Orthodox Slobodan Milosevic. He adopted new ideas that would soon lead to the mass genocide of many Yugoslavian groups. Titoism was communism, but with more freedoms. However, when Tito died, his thoughts died along with him as Milosevic took to power. The power of the communists collapsed in 1990, allowing other political parties to rise to power through free elections. The Republic of Serbia, though, voted to keep the Socialist, formerly Communist Party government in 1989 when they elected Slobodan Milosevic to power. Milosevic adopted his idea of ethnic cleansing soon after his reign began. The term describes the process of forcing people out of their homes and removing any cultural evidence of a group from an area.
Most of the terrible ethnic cleansing was done by the Bosnian Serb army, but backed by the former Yugoslav Serbian National Army across the frontier.
Milosevic, as leader of the Serbs and Croats, wanted to drive the Muslims and the non-Serbs out of Bosnia in order to expand and make for a more perfect population. Milosevic's efforts to allow only pure Serbian Orthodox to live in Bosnia can be compared to Hitler's anti-Jew acts in Germany during World War II. Unfortunately, Milosevic succeeded in convincing millions of people to kill their brothers, husbands, grandfathers, and fathers with his anti-Muslim propaganda. Slovenia will break free from Yugoslavia due to Milosevic's new policies. This was a relatively peaceful break, yet it angered Milosevic. Slovenia's departure hurt Yugoslavia economically, and Slovenia was not as well ethnically mixed as the other Yugoslavian nations were. During and after the Bosnian War, Balkanization had a large role in changing the political structure of Yugoslavia. As Yugoslavia began to break apart, a new idea began to take hold as Milosevic spread nationalism throughout the country. In 1991, Croatia declared independence. Civil war was the result of Croatia breaking free due to its ethnically mixed population. The Yugoslavian army fought to keep Croatia in the Federation of Yugoslavia. Ethnic cleansing occurred on both sides. The Serbians killed the Croatians, and the Croatians killed the Serbians. Bosnia broke free from the war in 1991. Bosnia was a mixture of Orthodox Serbs, Catholic Croats, and Muslim Bosnians. The result of Bosnia's splitting caused the worst ethnic cleansing the war had seen so far. In early July, 10,000 Bosniak men attempted to reach safety. Unfortunately, false promises had been previously made, and thousands of men gave up or were captured. On July 13th, execution sites were set up near Drina River, football fields, meadows, and more. The capital of Bosnia, Sarajevo, once the site of the 1984 Winter Olympics, was surrounded and besieged for 4 years. President Clinton ordered an arms embargo on the Yugoslav Republic of Serbia in the year of 1999. The arms embargo was created when NATO continued to fight on in Kosovo. The embargo would include cutting off oil supplies to Yugoslavia, as well as strategic goods, software, services, and other exports. In 1994, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, intervened and came to the aid of the non-Serbs with the purpose of ending ethnic cleansing. The United States, under President Bill Clinton, also helped. NATO and the UN fought hard against the Serbs. The more than 60 planes involved returned safely to their bases and aircraft carriers, and NATO said almost all targets were damaged or destroyed. President Clinton pushed the idea to send American troops to Bosnia and said that if we didn't help, there would be a wider war. The decision finally agreed upon taking a leadership role to suppress the fighting. In 1995, a ceasefire was declared along with the Dayton Accords. This peace was administered by the United States. Kosovo, a precious religious homeland for Orthodox Serbs, also known as Serbia's Jerusalem, had autonomy under Tito. Milosevic took away their autonomy and had the 10% Serbian minority rule the region. The 90% Albanian population fought Serbia, and Milosevic resumed ethnic cleansing. NATO then bombed again. In 1995, the leaders of Bosnia, Croatia, and Serbia signed the Dayton Accords, ending the 3-year-long Bosnian War. The accomplishments of the accords include military aspects, regional stabilization, elections, constitutions, and human rights. Today, the Bosnian War is known as the bloodiest battle in Europe since World War II, with 51,147 or more people expelled, exiled, or homeless by its end. The war destroyed many farms and factories and completely ruined the economy. The unemployment rate skyrocketed to 70 to 80%. Despite the devastation after the war, the population is well educated, and the government is pushing for people and corporations to now own businesses that were owned by the government in the past. This business model, known as privatization, is having a positive effect on the Bosnian economy. In 1984, the Winter Olympics were held in Sarajevo, Bosnia's capital city. The Olympics held with them a scent of the war that had killed so many. The area that was supposed to withhold peace became a land covered in the sediments from the buildings that had been destroyed by bullets that had flown through the air. In 2008, Kosovo declared its independence from Serbia. The United Nations, China, and Russia refused to recognize Kosovo as an independent nation. UN and NATO troops remain in Kosovo today to provide protection. Last year marked 20 years since the Srebrenica massacre. It was memorialized with 11,541 red chairs lining the streets of Srebrenica. Despite the relative peace between the countries today, there are still tensions between the republics of former Yugoslavia. Ana Pavlović, a Croatian and Bosnian Serb global ambassador at CSU, informs us of the modern tensions between Croatia and Serbia.
Like, for example, there's a recent soccer game between Serbia and Croatia, and the Croatians were chanting like "kill the Serbs" when they won the game, or something like that. And that was recent. That was within the last month.